Ndị Igbo hapụnụ ihe a ka anyị gaa n'iru ka anyị soro Nigeria na-akọ. Because in the background of the Biafran agitators and misguided protests stand the largely silent Igbo majority. If the Biafran movement is a fuse, this silent majority may too well be his powder keg. Therefore, I cannot be silent. I am going to bank it in here maybe. For the burden of guilt for the young, nine young Nigerians who lost their lives at that protest will be upon those who led them to the untimely deaths, as well as those of us who remained and continue to remain silent. Every Igbo person of good conscience must be able to understand that we may be sleepwalking into a crisis. And the news of burnt mosque and houses, or rather houses killed in our nature a few days ago, be it through or force, may be the work of mischief makers to escalate the situation, escalate the violence. Fortunately, just very few Nigerians understand the implications of what is happening today at the mouth of the Niger Bridge in our nature. Yes, we know deep down, no doubt, that something is very, very wrong with our country. We agree on that. We just happen to disagree that the question of Biafra is not the answer, and we don't provide the solution. The problem of Nigeria is beyond Biafra. What is happening in the southeast of Nigeria today, Alibo, appears to me to be as a recipe for an economic disaster in a scale unimaginable for a region so resourceful, so educated, and otherwise very accommodating and hospitable. But then, it seems to me that the government is caught flat-footed by the conflagration that has engulfed cities and towns in the southeast over the past few weeks. The government's knowledge of the coming crisis and lack of the will to do anything about it except its readiness to send in federal troops to quell violent protests and shoot at protesters. It's a pointer that when a government is unresponsive to the needs of its citizens, very soon it may wake up to a very rude reality. So this is a no win for anyone, whether it be the federal government or the Biafran agitators or those of us who have decided to be on the other side and yet silent. We're not dramatizing our position. We're not protesting for one Nigeria. We are just opposing Biafra. No, it shouldn't be that way. On the one hand, the agitators seem oblivious to the fact that they are putting Nigeria as a whole in harm's way. We need to tell them, including their own brothers and sisters they claim to be fighting for. On the other hand, if the people in the southeast want a responsive government that will listen to their grievances, they must use the power of their vote to put it together, pressure those elected to speak for them, and champion the cause for dialogue on that democracy with the federal government. Otherwise, the only way to get the government to act will be through riots and shouting and shutdowns and protest. And I won't tell you that looking at our history, this method of agitation will achieve nothing. The unanswered questions are, how long will it take for the simmering discontent to explode into a monster of ethnic cleansing, revenge attacks, terrorism, starvation, and deeper poverty against Ndibo in the north, who may be targeted, because some news came from the southeast that some Hausas have been killed, and then they start harming and killing our brothers in the north. This is one of the things this thing can cause. And the second question is, and when it does, would it ultimately lead to the beautiful, peaceful, and democratic Eldorado that the agitators have anticipated, or would it merely lead to an alternation of power and balance that will further push the Igbo back and deprive the Igbo of their wealth and positions? anyị cheki ihe mere 1970 mgbe a lụchara war nke anyị, ha gwa anyị na onwe onye meriri ibia, but enye anyị owere 20 pounds ka onye ọbụla. Ọ ihe ndị a chọrọ ka eme again. Anyị jikwa ụjọ biro, because if the war starts, it is still those of us who are opposed to it now that will take the stand and defend our homes, defend our families, defend our communities, defend our people. We don't want war. We live in a global economy. We can make Nigeria work for everybody, whether you be Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, Efik, Ijaw, Tiv, wherever you come from. Nigeria is too massive for everyone to be part of. All people aspire for happiness and a quality of life devoid of poverty and indignity. Therefore, on the basis of these, the agitations, of course, anybody can argue, are valid agitations, but so far it has denied millions of Nigerians the peace and the security that are the prerequisites for development, which all human beings aspire and deserve. In truth, it can take years for some crises to manifest themselves as conspicuously as the agitation for Biafra. It can lead to many other things other than the anticipated outcome. For those of us who see beyond 2019, but still within our limited vision, what is brewing and what is happening now is enough evidence to us to believe that a crisis of epic proportion is brewing, a concoction of deadly beverages. Indeed, as unfashionable as it may sound, there is a crisis brewing that is far graver than what the largely uneducated, unemployed, and frustrated young men and women can ever imagine. The crisis of ethnic cleansing in the north against Indigo can begin with something like this. We have to stand firm. Let those of us who are opposed to the agitations also stand up to propose one Nigeria by taking up to the streets to teach those, because we believe we have a superior argument. They believe they have a superior argument. We are mutually respectful of each other. There won't be violence. We must speak. We must speak our minds, because if we don't, it will be as if we have, grown accustomed to the wait and see and pray attitude. No, that has to end. It has to end, and I believe now is the time to speak out and dramatize our positions. My assessment cannot be the dismal conjecture of a doomsday analyst, because I still believe that it is far better to imagine that we are in a crisis today and do something to prevent it than, face the rude awakening of its reality upon us when it comes. My name is Mike Ikem Umealo. God bless.